Hey everyone, welcome to Neil Talks. My name's Neil and it's time to talk more QI. This week's viewer request took me on a bit of a search because no one seems to agree on what number from the series this episode is. We're going to Series I and we're looking for the episode called Ice. And depending on where you look, this is either number 14 or 15 or 16. Doesn't matter, I found it, I'm psyched to check it out. What I know about this episode. I know it's the Christmas special from that series, and I also know that the legendary Brian Blessed is part of the panel, which is interesting because I feel like I know a bit about Brian, even though I've never actually seen him or met him on any of my encounters with British television so far. And yet I know Stephen's impersonation of him, and I've heard so much about him because he's apparently such a legendary figure. Nevertheless, I am excited to meet the real thing for the first time. So I hear he has amazing stories. Hopefully we're going to get some great storytelling in this episode, and the holiday episodes in general tend to be a lot of fun. There tends to be a little bit of bonus content of some sort or another. So yeah, I don't know what more to expect, but I'm excited to check this one out. I'm going to call it episode 14 because that's how I found it, from Series I, and it's called Ice.
Happy Christmas and welcome to QI on Ice. Ding dong, it's Sean Locke.
Awesome.
And way over the lantern of manger, it's Russ Noble. Bless my whistles, it's that merry gentleman, Father Christmas himself, Brian Blessed.
Oh, wow. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the crowd. What the heck?
Hither page and stand by me, yonder peasant. Who is he? It's Alan Davies! Don't forget that this year we are celebrating our ignorance with the Nobody Knows bonus.
Okay, yeah, you're familiar with this by now.
Yes.
Do me a favour, can you just put that there? It really is the Riddler.
Very good. Where do they take the most days off work and have the most expensive Big Macs in the world?
It's got to be
In
Scandinavian.
Canada, but the Eskimos in wheat. 6 months of the year it's dark there, and they have great big bloody Big Macs and wonderful great big steaks and lots of sex. Because they got to shag all the winter.
That's like the best voiceover ever.
Bloody big Macs.
This is a country that is themed to our series.
Iceland.
Iceland is the right answer. Per 1,000 people,
Not technically
they take
part of
367
Scandinavia,
days in a
but-
year, compared to about 20 odd in Britain and 1 in Switzerland. I think they just have that attitude to
Because they're lazy.
Possibly.
I'm not going to work today, and that's how we talk. That is how we talk in Iceland. Go here.
But Iceland is a very odd country. Have you been there, bro?
No, I've not. It's one of the few countries I've not been to.
It's full of a lot of firsts. It has more Nobel Prize winners per capita than any country on
That's because
Earth.
there's only
Do you know
300,000
how many
people that
Nobel
live there.
Prize winners it's had?
14.
One.
One.
Yes! But the population is so small, 320,000, which is roughly the population of Croydon. That is...
Does Croydon have
his
a
name is
Nobel
Laxness.
laureate?
He won the- It shows how useless statistics are, really, doesn't it? It also uses 3 times more electricity than any other country on Earth. But what's good about their electricity?
It's geothermal. Yeah.
100% of it is from either hydroelectric or geothermal.
Doesn't everybody live on the edge?
What do you mean, just like...
Living on the edge.
Living on the edge in Iceland is just going out in just your pants.
It's also the world's youngest country. What do I mean by that?
Geologically.
Volcanic, so it
Yes,
came up.
geologically it's the world's youngest country. But it has the world's oldest...
Parliament.
Yes, yes, yes.
Apparently I know a lot about Iceland.
And do you know what it's called?
Ye all the Parliament.
It's
Should we
everything...
pass laws? No, we're living on the edge. We got a prawn ring and all that.
What is a prawn ring?
Do you know what a prawn ring is?
No, I don't. What is it?
It's a ring of prawns. It was
Yeah.
the original... I paid for I paid for two, there should be one over there. Imagine a show called One Man and His Prawn, right? And you whistled and they all perfectly got themselves into a circular pen.
Well, it's like when they get attacked. That's what they do. They go into a circle to defend themselves.
You want to get yourself a tiny sheepdog.
You're talking absolute nonsense. A sheepdog for prawns? You don't get a sheepdog, you get a prawn dog for prawns.
That is one, why I keep losing that competition.
Right, prawns are all over this shop.
That I've got prawns everywhere,
Right, yeah.
and I've been banned from Crufts.
Yes.
It's appalling.
Very good.
In what way is Iceland's most recent volcano similar to Genghis Khan?
I think they're both shagnasters. He is the father and mother of all populations in Europe
But isn't
and
there a-
Asia, so he shagged everything that moved. And the volcano, of course, has spurted out, had an orgasm of ammonia, and has fertilised Europe. It's getting to an answer.
All right. I think he might have actually got it somehow.
I think, obviously, that volcano stopped lots of transport going on.
Yes.
He must have stopped something happening, which the volcano stopped happening.
That volcano poured out 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide. But no one flew for however long it was, and the lack of flying saved 3 million tons. And in the case of Genghis Khan, he slaughtered his way across the world,
So they're both good for climate change.
twice the size of the Roman Empire, and he killed about 40 million people. And the result was there was so little farming that the forests grew back.
So what do we have to pronounce?
How did you know that I was going to ask that as a supplementary question?
I thought you already did.
Oh, did I already say it?
Oh, that or I read it off
Oh,
the
you
author.
read it off the audio. You great big cheater.
I read it off the auto prompt.
I would now like you to pronounce the name of the volcano, and it's written up there for you.
God alive.
Is the J a
With
ya?
your accent, you've got the best chance.
Aya yellow yokul.
Yijaf
That's a-
Yali Jockcrow.
You may have set it off again by doing that.
And I think, actually, the way you're supposed to pronounce it is... Hutch.
It's Eyjafjallajökull. Leokodl.
And is that translated big smoky bastard?
Yes. How do Icelandic people name themselves?
Son and daughter.
That's right.
Yes,
Your
there's-
daughter would be called Alandotir if you were Icelandic.
Not a bad idea. And when they
But that
marry,
would be her
when
surname.
they marry, the women don't take the man's name; they keep their father's.
Exactly right.
The only thing I know about Iceland, and the fact that everyone's on the edge.
These are Icelandic. What do you reckon they are?
Legs,
Yes. If I were to tell you that those are empty, does that help?
hollow legs.
Is that skin?
Yeah.
Has somebody been skinned?
Icelandic cock pants.
They are a pair of trousers made of human skin.
Nice.
Yeah. They are on display at the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft. And now what happens is you ask a friend, right, that when he dies, can you have his skin? And you wear them as sort of tights, right? It gets weirder. You then have to steal from a widow a coin. And you put the coin inside the scrotal area, the sack, with a written incantation, and then...
You open a bank.
Well, then apparently, well, sort of do, because then the scrotum apparently fills with money. They're sort of necro pants.
That's the sort of thing you see advertised at 3 o'clock in the morning. Euroquote. Do you want necro pants?
I've got these phone books here, and what's happened is they've been interleaved. That's all it is. There's no glue or anything. So it's
Oh, it must have taken ages.
So it did. Our props people are very proud of their work.
The friction involved. They're not going to be able to pull these apart.
Go on, pull them apart.
It can't be done.
Go on. There you go. Try. You can't, can you? It's quite extraordinary. Strong as Brian is.
Go on, John, pull, Brian, pull.
I feel like Sean's going to go flying here. Oh,
Me and Brian have been doing this trick for years.
But that is, I think,
since their vaudeville days.
you need 8,000 pounds of force in order to do it.
Really?
It really is quite bizarre. Those are.
This time it's,
Loosen them.
this time it's me.
This time is personal. Having a tantrum.
Eventually he's going to get them, but only because...
Still can't do it.
Yeah.
And you stop reading the escort pages as well.
Very good eyesight from there.
I know my Alan. Well, there you are. The fact is, yes, surprising as it...
There's one woman in there.
Yes, she's out of bed again. So from Iceland to Alaska, the Eskimo Indian Olympics. And I'm afraid you're going to have to prepare to get a little bit sticky.
We're going much beyond
These lubed
beyond
rods.
just Alaska,
Here.
but okay. There are definitely some Canadian
Sorry, Stephen, but this contravenes my super injunction.
tribes in that list.
All you have to do is try and work out what the sports are in the World Eskimo Indian Olympics.
Is this a two-person game?
It's a two-person game. You each...
Is it fire?
Is it fire?
No, leave the string for the moment and grab the stick. Without twisting or jerking, the one who can get the stick off the other.
Oh, Christ, I've got no chance. This time you're going on the floor.
I don't think so.
There you go.
I think if someone was tracking stats of which QI guests have ended up on the floor the most, Sean would be the runaway winner. And not just because of this episode.
You do have to wrap it around an organ. An auditory organ, one of your ears.
Okay.
Each wraps it around the ear, and you pull. Like so. It's a pain endurance test.
I'll go around the other ear.
Oh, look, what happened to his ear?
Ow.
I don't want that to happen.
Ow.
I don't know if that helps.
Just through the hair.
Official sports are the Eskimo Olympics. But it's a very fine part of the world, and if you've ever been there, very beautiful. Very beautiful. You've been there, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. Yes, I went on an expedition to the North Pole in 2004. And, I mean, when you want to have a pee, you've got 25 seconds to have a piss, otherwise your cock will fall off. And the thing is...
That's motivation.
But the astonishing thing is
The
that...
one woman in the crowd.
As we approached the magnetic North Pole, you could feel the magnetism. Everything was titillated. And at that moment, I felt this great earthquake, and up came a great Russian Typhoon submarine. And the men got off and so forth, and they called me Father Christmas for
You
frost.
have to give them the fright of their life.
I know, yes. And I sang, Your heat, oh, your heat, oh.
Does he have an opera background too? This guy's a force.
Now, in 1845, Sir John Franklin led an expedition to the Arctic to discover the Northwest Passage. A group of his men set off across the ice with a sled load of button polish, handkerchiefs, curtain rods, and a writing desk. Why? What were they doing?
Yeah. It's
You are right!
yeah. The lead poisoning had set in or something.
But sadly, none of them made it back.
No, they didn't. It was one of the most disastrous expeditions in all navigatory history. 128 men all perished in this expedition. It wasn't until the 1980s until it was discovered precisely what had happened to them, because their bodies were well preserved in ice.
Because I think they found the ships from the
It was
Franklin
discovered that
expedition.
their bodies were filled with toxic levels of lead. Solder they used in the camp was lead solder. And lead poisoning, amongst other things, can make people have mass delusions. But it is awful, isn't
I
it?
can imagine they went to open a really disappointing shop.
But at the other end of the world, what did Captain Scott take to the Antarctic to keep his lads entertained?
A first edition of Razzle.
A gramophone.
There was a gramophone on the second one, but more extraordinarily...
Triangle.
No, much more extraordinarily.
A piano.
A player piano, a pianola.
That out there it's so cold, you wouldn't want to be playing the piano, would you? With
Well,
your
oddly
fingers
enough,
out, kid?
on one of his first expeditions, he took a real piano, only to discover that nobody on board could play. So, it took real effort to get it on land to the first base camp, just so they could have music.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't drag it to the pole with them.
They didn't take it all the way to the pole.
That would be
That
odd.
would have been a bit silly.
Of course, Scott got there, but Amundsen, of course, went a different route and found it was easy. And he was lucky. So he got there days before Scott did. And when Scott got there, he saw the Norwegian flag. And then Scott, coming back, was depressed and so forth, and they all died. But Amundsen got back to Norway, and his wife came into the bathroom and said, "Scott has died." And Amundsen said, "He's beaten me."
Became a hero.
He became a hero.
What he should have
That's
said
very
was, "Can I have his piano?"
We took risks, we knew we were taking them, and things have come out against us. Therefore, we have no reason to complain.
He ended with the words, "For God's sake, look after our people."
Yes.
What happens when a penguin steps on a landmine?
I dare say nothing at all.
It flies.
It's kind of
Alan is absolutely right. Nothing happens.
But they tap dance, don't they?
They're too light. They're too light.
Oh, okay.
There is a particular place on Earth where thousands of landmines were laid, which is
Falklands.
the Falkland Islands by the Argentinian army when they occupied, and so no humans can go there. There was a big whaling industry, so they'd get the whale oil, which is where all the money was. And there are no trees to burn, so they used to burn penguins. They used to kill the penguins. So they'd use the penguin oil to make the fire to burn the whales. And the population went down from 10 million to a very, very small number. It's one of the sort of laws of unintended consequences. Because of these landmines, the penguins are now multiplying and doing really well.
The penguins are now laying more mines.
Yes! Now, where's the best place to look for the abominable snowman?
Well, it's got to be. I mean, there's actually artifacts in Nepal.
It's called Sasquatch Bigfoot in Canada. And then in Sumatra, it's called Orang Pendek. Yetis obviously do exist. There are great parts of the world that we don't know about. The Mongols are telling me that frequently in the late autumn that you get migrations of almas giants.
Yeah.
And they see them in the distance. So I want to go out there one day and go to northern Mongolia and just go, "Oh!" And then I think that might scare them off.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very, very much.
You have to remember that the large mountain gorilla was only discovered about 90 years ago.
Yes.
There's so much to discover. So I don't think we've scratched the surface yet.
Where did Queen Victoria get her ice from? It was imported, I'll tell you that.
From icebergs.
Not from icebergs, no. For a time, it was the most famous lake in the world because it provided ice for the royal families and the rich of all of Europe.
Somewhere up in Scotland?
And it was called Lake Wenham, and it still exists, Lake Wenham. It's now a reservoir outside Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh.
There it is, all being chopped up and sent to Britain. And there was a shop in the Strand.
Shipped across the Atlantic.
Crowds would gather around. You could read the newspaper through the clear ice. And it was the wonder of the age.
I bet he was pissed off the day they invented the refrigerator.
I'm sure he was. Now, why did the Spanish Duke of Alba order 7,000 pairs of ice skates?
Because he was a millipede.
Was there a battle fought on ice?
He wanted to wipe it out. He wanted, "I hate ice skating. I'm going to buy all the boots." And it would just die out. That's what I'd do. I'd do it for show jumping, though.
Right.
So I'd buy all the horses. And all those funny blocks. Be a good James Bond plot, wouldn't it?
We're in the 17th century.
Instead of trying to take over the world, I'm trying to stop show jumping.
You've got all them obstacles in your garden, and you've bought the horses. They're going to be doing it in the garden.
Yeah.
You'll
Sort
look
it on
out, be
yourself.
entertained.
Hoisted by my own petard.
Exactly.
Yes. The Pope, who in his glory and humility and wisdom and Christian charity sentenced the entire population of the Netherlands to death for heresy because they'd gone...
This woman in the crowd!
Because they'd gone Protestant. So he ordered 7,000 pairs of ice skates so the Spanish army should be prepared for war on ice. It was never used.
There is a Saturday night programme. It's Celebrity War on Ice.
So you can have a reward, and this is an ice cream. And I just want you to give me some tasting notes on it, basically. Tell me what you think about it.
Well, what's it going to be made out of?
No, it's not. Turkish ice cream.
Very lovely.
Well, the odd thing is, I
it
have to tell
goat?
you...
Is it a body part? Is it going to be some...
It is fox testicle ice cream.
Slave to a fox's bollock cream.
It's not actually from the testicles of a
No
fox.
wonder, this is the first time.
This is made from a particular orchid. So, do you like the taste of it?
It's delightful. It's better than a kick in the orchids.
Hey.
Or even the testicles.
Quickly, what are igloos usually made from?
Snow.
Blue ice?
No.
They're made from snow.
Is it an apple glue? Is that what?
No.
They actually are.
Eye glue. Very good. They're usually made from caribou hide. That is the usual igloo. Very, very rare for
That's
them to be
not
made
an
out of
igloo.
books of
That's
snow
a
of
wigwam.
cartoonists' fame. Now, what do you say to a husky to make it go?
Yip yip.
Most people think that you're supposed to say
Mush.
mush. But in fact, that's for years that hasn't been said.
So there's trends in what huskies respond to.
Very much so.
So the huskies, if you say mush now, they just go, oh, that's so...
So 80s.
so lost.
When I did go to Mongolia, the Mongols have mainly huskies and wolves. A great big bloody wolf. And he was in my tent, he slept with me, this wonderful wolf. It adored me. I gave it Mars bars and things like that. You have to understand, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, even at my age, in my 70s, I'm a randy bastard. And I was missing my wife horribly. I took this, you know, and I just went, gimme, 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 what I cry for. You know you made me love you. Pum, 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 pum. And he absolutely adored me.
Right. Wow. Right, you know earlier you were saying you don't suffer from altitude sickness.
No, I don't.
I think you do.
I think we've worked out. We know why Brian's huskies were going so fast.
He's still there! Come on! Bastard, he's fast!
Now, what can you see here? Have a look. What's that?
Well, we're going to say it's Loch Ness Monster, but it's not.
It's not what you think it is. It's
not the Loch Ness Monster.
It's a hoax.
Do you know why the forgery was made?
Yes, I
Claim the
because I
prize.
read a
Was
bloody
there a
book
prize?
about
There
the
must have been a
Loch
cash.
It was a journalist. I'll give you his name. Marmaduke Weatherall.
Marmaduke Weatherall.
Yes.
Yes, of course. He was... shut up, I know something. Yes, Marmaduke Weatherall was he was a big game hunter. And there was a competition. One of the pits...
Come on, Ross, pull it out.
Years and years I've waited. I know about Marmaduke Weatherall. So Marmaduke Weatherall cut the legs off a hippo and he made fake footprints and then, presumably, he got found out. And if you say no, I'll punch you in the face.
No, you're... He wanted the prize. He was fooled by the artificial hippo footprints.
Oh, you see.
And the Daily Mail published them. The Natural History Museum saw them and said, this is a fake, these are hippo footprints. And he was fired by the Daily Mail. And he was so angry that he then put together this hoax. You've each got some bells. Now, this could be a disaster. Now, your bells are numbered, and you should have a card. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 5, 3, 4.
Not bad, not bad. Could have gone much worse. He was right. And a happy new year.
I'm sorry to say that in last place with -8, it's Sean Locke. The very creditable -3, it's Ross Noble. First timer in second place with -2, Brian Blessed. But with +9, a runaway winner, Alan Davies.
Merry Christmas, one and all. It's a Christmas miracle.
Good night and a very Merry Christmas.
Something about doing an episode all about ice and Christmas in the middle of August is a little bit weird, but I'm okay with it. Although I think I may need to save some of these Christmas themed episodes for the holiday season, so I'll figure out what to do there. Brian Blessed is a character, man. Just so big and boisterous and loud, and yet so clearly he's got like, is he an opera singer? Is he an Arctic explorer? Like, what? Is he a television presenter or something else? Like, what put him on all these various expeditions? I'm very curious. Is he an Attenborough type, or does he come from a completely different angle? But he's entertaining. He's compelling. He, you can tell he likes drawing all the attention and being the center of attention, and yet he's also very much a storyteller. I get the appeal. It's always interesting when you get somebody on the show who might not be a QI regular listening to the crowd response, and sometimes it's somebody quite famous and you get the loud applause, but sometimes it's not that they're less famous, but that everyone knows they're going to be in for a good time, like this time. And not only was Brian's applause loud, but it sounded enthusiastic and excited for what was to come, and he delivered. And yet, he also took a couple of klaxons and didn't end up winning. I think I take issue with a couple of things mentioned in this episode. I don't think you call it an igloo if it's made out of caribou hide. I mean, I might be proven wrong, but I just don't think you do. I think that's a different structure. And I also don't like the characterization that the Eskimo Indian games are an Alaska phenomenon, because I saw the names of the various tribes that participated, and the Haida and the Tsimshian and the Tlingit and the Athabascan, those are all Canadian tribes. So calling it Alaskan is perhaps a misnomer. Although the Aleut, by all means, Alaskan, the Eskimo, all over the North American Arctic. Although I don't think Eskimo is even the proper term anymore. I thought that had gone out of favor, and it's Inuit now, because Eskimo is, I think it was an Ojibwa term, which is a more southern tribe centered around like Ontario. It was their word for them for the Inuit, and I don't think it was a very flattering one. And yet it's still used, so I find that interesting. You know how some sports teams, sometimes their mascots end up they fall out of favor because it comes to light that they're racially insensitive. The Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians, the teams have to undergo an identity change. And properly, I would say so. Well, the Canadian Football League had to do the same thing a couple of years ago, because one of our long-standing storied franchises was the Edmonton Eskimos, and they are not the Eskimos anymore. So I'm surprised that I know this is 10-ish years old, but Eskimo fell out of favor long before then, at least over here. But anyway, yeah, it's always interesting when you're watching an episode of QI and a subject comes up that you know a smidge about. Maybe you're not an expert in, but it's kind of like the press. Whenever you know the background of the story and you read or watch the report, there's inconsistencies, there's falsehoods, there's just a lack of understanding by the reporter, because they're just sort of thrown into the situation instantly. I feel like this is the same. If you happen to know the subject material well, what QI says about that subject material may not be entirely accurate. I'm not disparaging the elves. I think they do an incredible job, but nevertheless, I feel like maybe it's not 100% reliable. But I think if you're a regular viewer of QI, you know that, because I do like the fact that they shine a light on their past errors. They're happy to re-ask a question, and this is usually where it bites Alan in the ass. They re-ask a question that they asked seasons ago. Alan remembers the answer from then, answers, and they go, no, actually, you know what? It's changed since then, and here's the new correct answer. I like that a show about general knowledge and information and facts is willing to acknowledge that facts change. Science evolves. Science is the quest for knowledge, and sometimes our knowledge is imperfect, and we find out more, we learn more, and we grow for it. And I wish more people understood that. that our base of knowledge is constantly growing, but not just growing, evolving, changing. We're refining our knowledge as we go. This is the nature of being a scientist, learning more. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you spending a little time here on Neil Talks today. Don't forget to leave your suggestion for episode recommendations, stuff you'd like to see me react to in the future down below. And until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.